What's up, family? Guess another beautiful night here. Temperature is about 21 degrees. Kind of cold, but hey, it's all good to be above ground. We're watching some videos, we're keeping warm, and we're making the best out of life as we know it. Now, I'm going to drop some clips here with my guy here, the Bell and the Nell brother. I do not own the copyright, so the clips is for awareness and informational purposes only. So you too, these clips here, speaking about your kind of people, deal with it. Because you guys know exactly what you guys are doing, and you put it in the open, but you keep saying we are not waking up fast enough to know what's going on. But at the end of the day, when we wake up, you guys gonna see shit. You guys not gonna like it. When we wake up and we are doing it, handlers by the handlers, when we wake fully up, you guys can't deal with it. That's why you're building your underground bunkers and trying to get away from it. Not going to work. Folks, check this out.
And then suddenly you find a report that comes out. So they use the good parts of the body. What do they do with the rest? Then suddenly you find that 25% of McDonald's burger is human remains. The world's not ready for that yet.
No, it's not, because most of the world eat it.
Exactly right. But I tell you what, that'll put them out of business when that becomes public knowledge.
I haven't eaten McDonald's in over a year.
Just put them in jail.
Of course it will, but this is part of the process. I talked to somebody the other day and said, it's been in...
So what he just said is that the majority of the burgers are human remains. That's what he said. The majority of that company burgers is human remains. I didn't say it. He did. Keep it going.
And then suddenly...
Then we both have...
You want to say something?
When Pennywise, when he was able to shapeshift, when you look at his eyes turn into a reptilian shapeshifter form. He had many different forms. He was able to become, a clown. He was able to transmute into being another form of a demon. He was able to transmute and become a draconian. So that's what draconians do. They feed off the adrenochrome from the children because the blood is basically like an elixir. So that's why we understand that the Walmarts work in tandem with the McDonald's, because everywhere you see a Walmart is where you see a McDonald's, and everywhere you see a McDonald's, sometimes it's inside of a Walmart. So that's why a lot of times, you see the missing children when you go inside Walmart, when you look at the billboards, when you're going in the entrance. That's because there's an underground tunnel system in between Walmart and McDonald's. So what happens is like all this stuff is being facilitated by the government, because they know that these entities or these cryptids or the draconians or fallen angels, they live underground in these tunnel systems and they feeding off the children.
Right, we building. Watch this, y'all.
Two fathers, and so that's why we look at the world in two different ways. And we know that there's a massive collision that's going to take place between two forces, don't we? Well, that's what your book says. Our book says that we're going to take over the world. Well, I look at you... You're doing a pretty good job right now. Yes, you've done a pretty good job, but there's quite an awakening coming. And my father, who's not your father, my father Yahweh, who isn't your father, of course, your father is talked about by my father in John 8:44, stating that your father was Satan and that you're the descendant of Cain, who was the first murderer. And you know that's true because you teach it in your synagogue. Well, that's true, but it's not for you Goyim to know. But right now it's too late. It's over for you white race. So that's why I'm speaking so honestly here, to bring it out into the open so that you can see.
Okay, he says it's over for you white faces. That's what he said. That's what we keep telling people. It's not a black and white thing. We have to come together. He says it's over for you white faces. So when I tell these white people, stop calling people niggers and so on and so forth, they want to bring everybody down, not just black folks. So white folks, when they better wake up. When they better wake up.
It for what it is. You've been teaching the people real good, but they don't wake up, do they? You don't get a lot of followers, do they? Because you know why? They're scared of us Jews, because they don't want to be called anti-Semites. and they believe that we're the chosen people, and so that's why we can do whatever we want to do, and we can get away with it because the white men are cowards, and we go to the synagogue all the time and have some Manischewitz and dance the Hava Nagila. You know, it's interesting. I've told people for years and years, it's not that you Jews are hiding anything. You're coming right out on television, in the newspapers, on the radio, and you're telling the people exactly what you're going to do before you do it, and they're like they're brain dead. Well, we did a good job with the public school system. We got you to put all of your children in there. You notice that the Jew doesn't put his children in there. They go to the Hebrew Academy, where we teach them the real things, and then they go to the synagogue and they learn the real important things. But we send your kids to the public school. We even have you tax yourself from your property so that you never own your property. And so if you don't make your property tax, we're going to take your property. You can bet on that. And we have you put your kid in a 12-year baby.
He's saying that, like, look, y'all got to understand, it's all skin folk at your kinfolk.
That's facts.
It's a lot deeper than just, oh, you black and you white. It's not just about that. That's why I'm telling y'all that we in this thing called life together, you know. Everything ain't what it seems, because let's be fair. All of us was fed to a certain system. Most of us here were fed to a system where it lied to us. Where it lied to us about pretty much everything, you know. Like, even, I give you one example. It said, you know, go to school, man, you get this degree, you become this. But then they don't tell you that you need fucking 15 years worth of job experience to get the job that you ran for. And these old niggas don't want to move out the way and let the young rank up, you know. You see Joe Biden, why is he still, like, running for president and shit?
Right.
The meat is falling off the bone, y'all. The meat is falling off the bone.
I like that. I like that.
And he feel like he can run the country where there's nukes and everything like that involved. But yeah, you got something to say?
Yeah, man. To those who don't understand, who are still at disbelief about, you know, child trafficking, draconians, extraterrestrials and stuff, all this stuff is connected to monotheistic theological context. When you go to the book of Enoch, it tells you about the fallen angels. The fallen angels are the cherubim. The cherubim is another word for the word Nephala, which means fallen. So the 200 fallen angels, when they made it with the daughters of men, that was the curses of Canaan. The Canaan are the Canaanites who control the infrastructure of the food system, the water system, the political system. They control the music industry. So that's what he's basically talking about. They control every aspect of our lives. So that means that their power and their dominance is connected to those fallen angels, who are their predecessors, who actually gave them their power. When you go to Revelation chapter 17, El's Holy and Jill, the evil reptilian gave power to the beast. The reptilian is the cherubim, the 200 fallen angel. The beast is the Canaanite. When you go to Levitical law, talking about the book of Leviticus, that was the ones that was cursed with leprosy. So all this stuff is basically in connection to theological context, but you got to read it with a comprehensive eye. You can't read into it with your feelings. I'm
going to pause it here, folks.
People read into religion. They read the Bible like it's a children's book, but it's a Freemasonic playbook talking about the end of their system. And the end of their system is happening right now. That's why the Federal Reserve filed Chapter 11, the state of Israel expired. When you talk about the Balfour Declaration, all this stuff expired.
Yeah, exactly.
Their time is up, according to the 1813 Freemasonic Apocryphal Bible. So now we at the end of the 6,000-year purification period. We at the end of the 6,000 years, and it stopped in 2024 as we segue on to the Golden Age, which is the Aquarian Age, which is why Pluto basically entered into Aquarius today on January 20th today. So that means that we at the apex of a fourth turning. So everything operates on a cyclum of a cycle. So you at the end of a cycle. The cycle basically ends because there's no such thing as democracy. When we was in motherfucking middle school, what we said, I pledge allegiance to the republic. It didn't say to the democracy.
True that.
To the republic. That's how you know the republic is facilitated by the Canaanites who do the bidding of Draconians. Because when you look at the word democracy, Krasi comes from the word Kratos. Kratos means chronology, which is Renfren, which is the god of Saturn, which is Satan.
Well, I'm going to get pause here because I don't think there's no Satan, but hey, anyway, that's his talk on that.
Yeah, let's get to it. What we got, like, what we got in here, y'all? We got like, what we got in here, y'all? We got
5,000?
We got over 5,000 people in here, man. Let's smash that like button. We should have 5,000 likes in here, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, though. Make sure y'all pay attention. Don't get lost in the sauce right here. We gonna continue to build. But with this section right here, he's gonna continue to talk about how they put the the human meat in the food and everything else like that. We pretty much already talked about it, but they chop up. It's gonna. I don't want to get too graphic right here.
And so we sell them.
Yeah.
You see, that's why when they're selling those burgers for $1. You remember early in the year, last year really, they were selling burgers for $1. I told my folks, don't buy those burgers. Don't buy those burgers. That's not real burger. You're not eating real meat. As a matter of fact, Mickey D's is not really real meat anyway, and I don't eat meat, period. So to me, that's going to really affect me. This is about what, almost 50 years now I don't eat meat? Yes, about that. About 50 years now. No meat. No. Anyway, folks, let's keep building. As my man said, let's keep on building.
Where they enter through doors at night to scare them because the children's fears, specifically their screams, are used to power the city of Monstropolis. They even use ranking systems to see who can extract the most screams from these children, and they're absorbed into these these containers or whatever.
And they literally look like blood when they're filling up. And if you think about the tactics that are used by the elites, right, like how they acquire the best form of adrenal blood is by spiking the adrenaline in children. So you have to torture, you have to deliberately instill fear, and then you extract the blood.
This scheme to kidnap the children and extract their screams with the help of a machine called the Scream Extractor, and at full capacity the device torturously forces the screams out of them until they meet their end.
Cabin in the Woods opens up with these two scientists, Gary and Steve, talking about this upcoming ritual. Meanwhile, we see these 5 college friends getting ready to go spend a weekend at a remote cabin in the woods. So we got Dana, Jules, Kurt, Holden, and Marty. So on their way to the cabin, they go to a gas station, and you see the typical trope of like the old guy telling them to turn around, go back. They ignore it and continue on. They eventually get to the cabin, and they go to the basement where they find all these like weird relics. And everybody's like, oh, we should check this out. And Marty's the only one that's like, no, the fuck we shouldn't. Let's go back upstairs and get away from all this weird shit. But obviously they don't listen. Dana ends up reading a passage from a diary that she finds, which ends up summoning a zombie family. Now, back at the lab, we see that everything in the house is being manipulated and the group is being watched. And there's this really funny scene where they all had bets on which relic somebody was going to choose, which then was going to summon a certain entity. So we see like mermaid, vampires, and then zombie redneck torture family, which is the one that they get. So again, the lab is manipulating everything. So Kurt and Jules go for a walk in the woods, and the crew pumps pheromones into the air, which causes them to start getting intimate. And while they're doing that, they are attacked, and Jules is decapitated, and Kurt manages to escape back into the house. So we find out that Marty is the only one not being manipulated by the drugs that the lab is pumping into the house, because he smokes a whole bunch of weed and it stops the effects of the drugs.
Interesting.
He discovers a surveillance camera that the crew is using to watch them, but then is dragged off by a zombie. Back at the lab, they're talking about how this ritual is humanity's last hope, and this recently failed in Japan and other places. Meanwhile, the 3 remaining friends, Dana, Holden, and Kurt, try to escape via the RV, but the lab manipulates the tunnel to crash. Kurt attempts to make a jump on his bike to the other side of the ravine, but in this really cool scene, he smashes into a force field and dies. So now Dana and Holden realize that this whole thing is being manipulated, but as they're having a conversation about how to get out of it, Holden is attacked by a zombie and dies. So the lab now celebrates because there's 1 remaining survivor, which is how the ritual is supposed to go. But they don't realize that Marty is still alive. So Marty takes Dana to this hidden elevator that he finds, and when they descend, they see all of these different creatures behind glass walls. And they realize that all of these creatures were represented by items in the basement, so they basically chose their own way to die. So when they get out, they end up in the control room and they are cornered by security. So they do what anybody would do, and they unleash all the creatures by opening the elevator doors. This might be one of my favorite horror movie scenes ever because it's just absolute chaos. And you just see all the different creatures killing everybody in different ways. Marty and Dana escape the chaos where they are confronted by the director, who is our Queen Sigourney Weaver. She basically explains that they were part of an annual ritual of human sacrifice that they used to appease the Ancient Ones. They're During this ritual, they sacrifice 5 people who kind of satisfy all the horror tropes. So like the whore, the athlete, the scholar, the fool, and the virgin, who is Dana, who is supposed to survive. So she tries to convince Dana to kill Marty to complete the ritual and save the world. And Dana almost does it, but then is attacked by a werewolf. Meanwhile, one of the other creatures kills the director. Marty ends up killing the creatures, and he and Dana decide that humanity is not even worth saving. And they sit there and smoke a joint as the world ends. And they sit there and smoke a joint as the world ends.
So that same shit is actually taking place right now.
True that.
The same thing. Like, so that's why, you know, it's important to understand what's going on when you understand the Social Security system. Because, like I said, the system is on its legs.
Okay, family, I'm going to cut it short right here because I don't like my videos too long. If you want to see the whole thing, there you go. Just 5 hours ago. Today's the 20th. You can go on YouTube and watch the whole thing. Family, stay aware, stay knowledgeable, stay informed, still stock up. The water system is very bad. The pipes are old and rusted. So if you're drinking water from your pipes, it's taking out the oxygen of your system. I'm not a scientist, not a doctor. Yes, allegedly, because you know I have a tendency of striking you for speaking certain things. Get your natural water or boil your water because the water pipes is old and rusted. So you're actually getting rust in your water along with fluoride. Only then, folks, I'm out of here. Peace out. Lots of love. Lots of love. Lots of love.